This is Ian Cameron for Sportsbook Review, and I'm ready to preview Week 5 of the CFL. Let's get right to it and start with the Calgary Stampeders taking on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. The first game of Week 5 on Thursday, July 21st. What can you say about the Winnipeg Blue Bombers? This home field of theirs has been anything but a home field for this team. I mean, their record now at home continues to be dreadful. Now 7-22 straight up in 29 regular season home games for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers since Investors Group Field opened. Just dismal results. Another home loss last week against Edmonton, 20-16, outgained by 170 yards. In fact, Winnipeg's been outgained in all 4 games so far this season, outgained by over 300 yards rather, so far this season. Not good at all from this Blue Bombers team. They're going to be in tough here against Calgary. Calgary's off a bye week. They should be pretty fresh. Calgary does have some personnel concerns on the defensive side of the football, some shuffling along the D-line and at linebacker this week due to a couple injuries, but Calgary always has had very good depth. It's been one of the reasons why they've been one of the best teams in the CFL for years. I think they should be able to withstand that and still be able to plug guys in, do fairly well. Bo Levi Mitchell, the quarterback for Calgary, should benefit too from an extra week because the offense has been, a little bit inconsistent at times. But I think having this bye week and a little extra time to get ready it should help this Calgary Stampeders team. You could argue it's not a great price. Calgary 5.5 road favorite in this game, but the only way I could play it is Calgary laying the points. Calgary hasn't lost a game after a bye week. Not a single game did they lose after a bye week in the John Hufnagel coaching era. And they were very good against the spread off a bye as well. Now it is Dave Dickenson, now the head coach in his first year, but still think Calgary has what it takes to probably get the victory here against Winnipeg. The question is, can they get it by enough of a margin to cover this number? They might be able to, but that remains to be seen. I certainly don't trust Winnipeg, already 0-2 straight up and against the spread at home. They've got issues. Mike O'Shea's on the hot seat. The offense can't move the football consistently. Drew Willie continues to be erratic with his throws. So the only way I could play it side-wise here in this game is to lay the chalk with the road favorite here with the Calgary Stampeders. Friday night, July 22nd, we've got Ottawa against Saskatchewan, a big-time East versus West matchup. Ottawa Red Blacks continue to be absolutely scintillating on offense. Trevor Harris continues to be absolutely remarkable for this team at the quarterback position. 9 touchdowns, 1 interception. Just fantastic numbers from Trevor Harris. We're waiting for a week when he's finally going to have a rough game. That hasn't happened. I mean, 82% completion rate. That's mind-boggling in terms of execution, in terms of efficiency at the quarterback position from Trevor Harris for this Ottawa team. Ottawa off to a great start. 3-0 straight, 3-0-1 straight up so far this season. 3-0-1 against the spread as well. They're just off to a tremendous start. There's no question about that. Now can they take it on the road against Saskatchewan? We're starting to see inflation here, of course, toward Ottawa because of this great start. Now they're laying 5.5, 6 points on the road here against a Saskatchewan team that hasn't been very good this season so far, but they do play on a strong home field. You can't discount them. It's obviously inflated this price too because the big news, Saskatchewan quarterback Darian Durant injured last week against BC, not likely to play in this game according to head coach Chris Jones. That means Mitchell Gale, who took over last week in the second half against BC, is likely going to get the start here for the Saskatchewan Roughriders at quarterback. Who knows what you can expect from him? I mean, he's going to benefit from having a week of practice, a week with the first team offense to get ready, but how effective can Mitchell Gale actually be in his first CFL game as a starting quarterback? That remains to be seen. Very tricky to trust Saskatchewan. I know I said coming into the season, Chris Jones going to turn this team around, but it's obviously going to take him time because Saskatchewan, no doubt about it, has struggled so far. 0-3 straight up, 1-2 against the spread. They're a team that, actually in the underdog role, they're a team that I prefer them in the underdog role rather than laying points, and it's been proven that way so far. They lost both of their games 0-2 straight up and against the spread when favored. Their 1-point spread cover was that double-digit underdog cover against Edmonton, losing in overtime 39-36. So it's a good point spread roll. I think there's value with Saskatchewan. Just don't know if I can actually get to the betting window to support them when Mitchell Gale is the quarterback and he's up against what has clearly been the best quarterback here for the first month of the CFL season in Trevor Harris for the Ottawa Red Blacks. I think that potential quarterback mismatch is enough to keep me off the Saskatchewan side, even though I do think the line is inflated on Ottawa a little bit here. I'm also tempted by the under in this game because, Saskatchewan's defense, I think, has to show up at some point. I mean, really last week they played good defense in the first half. But then again, Mitchell Gale couldn't move the football in the second half after Durant got injured. Defense was on the field a lot, wore down against BC. Won't be easy to shut down Ottawa in this game. But if I had to play this one totals-wise, that's a pretty high total, 55, would lean under. Again, I think there's point spread value on Saskatchewan, but I don't want to get involved yet and pull the trigger. I want to see what Mitchell Gale plays like first in his first start here as a CFL quarterback for the injured Darian Durant. We've got Hamilton and Edmonton on Saturday, July 23rd. Interesting game here, Hamilton and Edmonton. Hamilton's been great on the road. I mean, going back now a couple of years here in the Ken Austin era, they've been terrific on the road. 13-4 against the spread their last 17 road games. Not going to be easy here against Edmonton. And Edmonton's going to be a lot tougher for Hamilton than Montreal was last week, especially for their defense, because Hamilton's defense played a pathetic, injury-plagued Montreal offense with a new starting quarterback and Rakeem Cato, and the results were ugly for Montreal's offense. They couldn't get anything done. Regardless of whether it was on the ground, through the air, it was ugly results all around for Montreal's offense. Now you got to play Mike Riley and this dynamic, Edmonton offense, great running back in John White, multiple weapons at receiver, Chris Getzlaff, Darrell Walker, Adarius Bowman, Nate Kuhorn can make plays in the passing game too. So, there's a lot of weapons for Mike Riley to dispose the football to here on this Edmonton offense. It's going to be a much taller order here for Hamilton's defense. But on the flip side, Hamilton, Jeremiah Masoli, for as much as he's been criticized, and he's been awful in his two home starts against BC and Winnipeg, but on the road, played well against Toronto in the first game, and last week against still a pretty good Montreal defense. He got things going in the second half after, a bit of a difficult first half. They got some rhythm, got some first down, started to move the chains, put some points on the board. That could carry over here. Edmonton's defense was better last week against Winnipeg, no question, but I want to put a disclaimer beside that performance. Edmonton playing a very bad Winnipeg offense as far as I'm concerned. Drew Willie erratic with his throws, offensive line struggles. Before that, Edmonton's defense got absolutely gashed in two home games by Ottawa and Saskatchewan. Giving up 30 points and more than that. Actually, they gave up 45 to Ottawa, 36 to Saskatchewan in those first two home games, did the Eskimos on defense. So the jury's still out. Yes, they played better last week, but that was not a great Winnipeg offense. This will be the true test. Is Edmonton's defense making strides forward? I think the way they play against Hamilton here is going to really be a big determining factor in my assessment of just whether this Eskimos defense has improved or not. We're going to come back to this game for our play of the week here in Week 5 and give you a recommendation that I have on this game. Monday, July 25th, Montreal taking on Toronto. You know what? We're filming this on Wednesday, July 20th. That game's still 5 days away. Tough to get a read right now. I mean, Montreal was horrendous last week. Absolutely god-awful. They can't play any worse than they did in that loss to Hamilton. The offense was pathetic. It was 2 and out basically with every drive throughout that game. The defense got worn down by Hamilton in the second half because they were out on the field too long. Nick Lewis calling out guys for not, playing better. The veteran receiver was very upset after the game. Deron Carter was shut down. They've got injuries, to S.J. Green and Kenny Stafford, two of their top receivers. They were without Terrell Sutton, their top running back last week. Their starting center, Luc Brodeur-Jourdain, out of the lineup for Montreal last week as well. So this team is injury-riddled and struggling. And I don't know what they can do to get it back on track. That being said, can you lay upwards of a touchdown, 6.5 points here with Toronto, who hasn't won at home yet this season? BMO Field, by the way, everyone was talking about how this team's going to have a bit better home field advantage at BMO Field. I haven't seen it yet. They're 0-2 straight up, 0-2 against the spread at home this season. They lose to Hamilton 42-20 at home. They lose last week at home to Ottawa 30-20. They're 2-0 on the road. They won at Saskatchewan, at BC, but at home they just haven't gotten the job done. And what really concerns me for the Argos is they've been outgained now in 4 games to start the season. Hamilton outgained them by 83 yards. Saskatchewan outgained them by 137 yards. BC outgained them by 12 yards. Ottawa outgained them by 176 yards last week. Toronto's consistently losing the battle in total yardage. They're getting out-yarded and out-statted, it seems, in every game, despite their 2-2 record. That's a concerning profile when you're in this kind of point spread role where you're being asked to lay 6.5 points. So I'm going to probably before it's all said and done, try to make a case for Montreal. I'm not sure if I can touch the Alouettes, to be honest with you, from a betting perspective. It's just been so bad, and everything's just in such turmoil with them right now, injury-wise, on the field, off the field. We don't know if Duron Carter's appeal is going to be, that process is going to be finalized. If it is, and they hold up that one-game suspension, Duron Carter may not play in this game. So that's up in the air. Lots of variables up in the air, and that game, again, is not taking place till next Monday. So tough to get a read on it right now. The total's very low too. I mean, 44, 44.5. Let's see if Montreal maybe starts to have, maybe has a good practice week on offense, because hopefully they do, because they need all the work they can get on offense. But 44, 44.5, that's a very low total. Definitely value on the over in that game, but can you trust Montreal's offense to perform any better than they did last week? That remains to be seen. All right, we're going to wrap up this video, CFL Week 5 preview video, with my play of the week for Week 5 in the CFL. We're 2-2 with these plays so far through 4 weeks. We had a half-point loss with Winnipeg last week. They lose by 4 as 3.5-point home dogs. That's my one. I gave Winnipeg my one shot to bet them at home, and they didn't get it done. So that's about it. I don't think I'm ready to trust them again at home anytime soon with that dismal home record. I'm going to go back to the Hamilton-Edmonton game for my CFL Week 5 play of the week this week. Totals come down a bit, 56.5. It's now 55 across the board. Edmonton's played 2 home games so far this season at Commonwealth Stadium. First one had 82 points in it. The second game against Saskatchewan, 75 points. May not get that many points this time around, but Edmonton's offense has been rolling at home. I'm not sold on their defense having turned it around just yet, because they shut down a bad Winnipeg offense last week. Hamilton's offense is at least, I think, a little bit more capable, if not a lot more capable, than Winnipeg's offense. So it's going to be a little bit of a tougher, taller order for Edmonton's defense. And now we've seen a little trickle down in this total, and I'm now going to step in and try to take advantage. Let's look at Hamilton and Edmonton over the total of 55. That's on Saturday, July 23rd, that game. Game number 126, the rotation number. Hamilton, Edmonton, we're going to look over the total of 55. Let's see if Edmonton can make it 3 straight overs in home games this season. All right, that's going to wrap things up for my look at CFL Week 5 from a betting perspective. I'm Ian Cameron for Sportsbook Review. Until next time, enjoy the games and good luck.
Always on the go? Bet365 has one of the top mobile platforms in today's market. Sign up today and don't let your busy life keep you out of the game.